Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. Going to have a look at weather next 10 to 14 days for today's second video. So day 10 will take us to around the 29th of March. We'll be able to extend out beyond that. We extend GFS and ECM ensembles. They run around a couple of weeks. Have a look at CFS V2 for April at the end of the video. January Friday has been released. That's the month April again with Japanese and CFS V2. Let's have a look at January Friday and see what's going on there next 4 weeks. I'm going to have the ECM extended look ahead for you tonight. That's going to be released around 6-7 o'clock. I would have thought we go 6 weeks out with that one. We normally release that on a Saturday morning, but sometimes we release it on a Friday and we've got something else to do on Saturday. Tomorrow we're beginning Easter updates. So the countdown to Easter 2021 will begin at Gaz Weathers tomorrow. Right, so subscribers around 30 away from 10.8k. We're hovering at around 10,768. Thank you so much, everybody, for getting us this far. If you aren't yet subbed to our channel, then please give us a sub and tell your friends and family to subscribe as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. We're trying to get to 10.8k. It would be nice if we could get to 10.8k this spring. I think 11k is going to happen more towards early summer. Probably around May, June is when I'm anticipating we'll get to 11k. But it would be nice to get to 10.8k anyway in the next few weeks. So you've got to put on around 30, 31, 32 subscribers for that. Thank you so much, everybody, for all of the support and for getting us this far. Absolutely incredible and unbelievable. Thank you so much for doing that. Right, so let's begin with the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. Let's go with Nuneaton today. So red lines are 30-year upper air temperature average for Nuneaton. You can see that we're around average at the moment. That upper air temperature is going to lift up over the next few days. It's going to become pretty mild with the upper air temperatures and the surface temperatures too. Over the next few days. A little bit of a drop occurring there in the temperature sort of towards the end of next week, but then they start taking off again as we come towards the end of March and into the beginning of April. Overall, it's pretty mild, doesn't it? Overall, you'd look at that and say it's a mild period that we've got coming up for the next couple of weeks with largely above average temperatures, just one little cooler interlude perhaps there. But overall, it looks like we're going to be set pretty mild now for the next week, 10 days, possibly couple of weeks, really. Precipitation-wise, a lot of dry weather over the next few days. Not totally dry, will be little drizzly bits and pieces coming and going, but on average, a lot of dry weather in the next week. Maybe a bit more unsettled into the closing days of March and the beginning of April. There might be some signal for some wetter weather to come through then. But even then, it's not desperately wet, just a little bit wetter, I think. Temperature anomalies from the 19th to 27th of March going to be a little bit milder than average in most parts of the UK and Ireland. Most parts of Europe are looking pretty cold. Precipitation anomalies from the 19th to the 27th of March going to be on the drier than average side. Latest wind from that from earthandoldskool.net shows that we're set fair with high pressure dominating the weather. So we're high and dry at the moment. The west-southwests are being pushed off to our north up towards Iceland, and that's because we're under a ridge of high pressure. We're still under a ridge of high pressure with the UK Met on Monday. High pressure is dominating weather, bringing loads of dry and fine weather. Through the middle of next week, back to high pressure begins to weaken a bit. Some showy rain coming to the north, probably mainly dry still though down in the south. As we get through to Thursday, perhaps a deeper area of low pressure started to head in from off Atlantic. It might start bringing some rain into the north and west, but most places are looking in the south anyway, probably still looking dry even though we are close to this 1020 millibar isobar here. So I don't think it'd be overly unsettled in the south even into the second half of next week, but certainly in the north there might be some wet weather moving in from the Atlantic. GFS 6 said again high pressure dominates on Monday, keeping us mostly dry and fine. That carries on Tuesday as well. Wednesday starts a bit more unsettled in the northwest, but essentially we're under high pressure further south, and then the high pressure just gradually weakens away for the second half next week. So by Friday, this time next week, we are beginning to turn wet and windy then, with low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic. Going to last weekend of March, that starts to set us up for quite an unsettled spell of weather. Low pressure is driving in from the Atlantic. It is very mild though. Southwesterly winds could see the temperature here lifting up to like the mid-teens or maybe in the upper teens in some southern and eastern parts of the country there on Monday the 29th of March. In the north and west, probably too much rain for the temperature to lift up that high. So beyond day 10, this is how we look. So we try to get another ridge going actually, there on the 31st of March, trying to get another area of high pressure to build up from the south, but that one doesn't really come off, and low pressure heads back in from the Atlantic. We're up to Easter Sunday now, Sunday the 4th of April, and by this point the ridge is beginning to reform from off the Atlantic. Probably quite cool, but relatively, or turning relatively dry up there for Easter Sunday. Right, that's that one done. GM looks like this again. High pressure dominates the weather through the early part of next week, then it gradually weakens, begins to turn more unsettled. Excuse me, begins to turn more unsettled in the north and west through the second half of next week. Maybe all areas getting some wet weather at the end of next week, and then into last weekend of March. Perhaps a bit wet and windy, maybe a little bit stormy there for north and western parts of Scotland on Sunday the 28th of March, but it will be very mild. Down in the south, probably not all that much rain, and very spring-like conditions for southern areas, but more unsettled in the north as we get to daytime. ECM, again, high pressure dominates the weather on Monday, bringing lots of dry and fine conditions. Gradually, high pressure weakens through the middle and second half of next week as low pressure moves in from off the Atlantic, going up towards day 10. Again, further wet weather in from the west, although probably very little rain getting through to the south, and again, mild southwesterly winds as well. This is the precipitation type forecast based on that ECM run from Tibetcho.com. There's going to be a lot of dry weather in the next few days. Later next week, it begins to turn a bit more unsettled in the north and west. And at the end of next week, we start to bring some proper rain in from the Atlantic. Some snow indicated there, so it is actually quite a chilly snap that we have towards the end of next week, but not for long. We start to push up those southwesterlies again as we go into the last weekend of March. 27th, 28th of March. That brings rain away from northern Scotland and milder temperatures as well. Moving up towards day 10, that's how we're looking. Again, it does look a little bit on the cooler side for northern parts, catching a few wintry showers. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which gets us to the 29th of March. I have 16 members of the ECM ensembles, with high pressure to our east and low pressure is out to west, and we're drawing up a mild or a very mild southerly or southwesterly wind with that. So a bit unsettled, especially for north and western areas. 12 have us under a ridge of high pressure. That's going to be mild, spring-like and dry. Very pleasant. Number 12 just here have high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north. Winds are in from more of a westerly direction with that one. 8, again, very similar idea. High pressure to the south, low pressure to the north. Winds in from the west. And 3 have a high pressure sitting to our east, over and to our east, bringing in a bit of an easy flow. That could be the coolest option or the coldest option. There's only 3 doing that. Most of those options are looking pretty mild at day 10. It just depends whether, you know, it just depends whether it's an area of high pressure dominating or an area of low pressure that's dominating at that point. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This will get us to the 3rd of March into the Easter weekend. 31 members of the ECM ensembles have high pressure to our east, low pressure to our west. Going to be mostly settled with that, I would have thought, and probably very mild as well, or even quite warm, bring the air up from the south. That'll be a nice spell for Easter. 20, very different though. Low pressure is over and to the east of the country, with a mid-Atlantic ridge. We'll be bringing in quite a cold northwesterly or even quite sort of northerly type flow. So that's much more unsettled and a lot cooler, or dare I say colder. So very conflicting, isn't it, between those two options? They're the polar opposites of one another, but the majority option is the warmer, drier option, I have to say. Lastly, this house CFSV2 is forecasting April 700 millibar height anomaly for April, showing high pressure dominating weather, high and dry into April from the Atlantic into much of northern Europe as well. In fact, it's like a large ridge covering most of the northern hemisphere, isn't it? So you can follow this back. Yeah. So let's start over Scandinavia. So we've got a ridge over Scandinavia. It extends back into western Russia. It extends through central Russia. It extends into eastern Russia. It extends into the Pacific Ocean. And then it extends down into southern parts of America. It does weaken a bit there. but it extends into like the south of America and the east of America as well, up towards Greenland, out into the Atlantic, and then here we go through the Atlantic into the UK. That's a very, very large extreme area of high pressure. That will have shades of like the pattern we had in June and July 2018, when we had a large ridge covering most of the mid-latitudes of the northern hemisphere during that very, very hot summer. So yeah, CFS absolutely going to town with high pressure for April in the northern hemisphere, isn't it? That means that we have a mild and average month, so temperature anomalies are forecast to be above average with the CFS in April, and the precipitation anomaly is a weaker signal, but probably, if anything, on the drier side, especially just to our west. Right, if you enjoyed the video, then please you smash your like button. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. If you subscribe, you'll be able to see future weather content. Tell your friends and family to subscribe as well. If everybody who subscribes brings a friend, we'll get to 10.8k that much more quickly, and we'll hopefully get to 11k in the end. So yeah, get your friends and family to subscribe at the same time. And drop a comment and let us know what you think about this. We're going to be back later on with the ECMWF extended look ahead, looking at weather next 42 days, next 6 weeks, and that'll be with you this evening. Tomorrow, we're going to have weekend forecast, have a 10 to 14 day, and we begin the countdown to Easter as well tomorrow. Right, so that's it for this one, though. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you later with our ECMWF extended look ahead. Bye for now.